One of the things that I love most is when people come up to me and say, I love your hair. I wish I could do that. And I always laugh and say, you really can if you want to. I mean, I do it permanently and change it every 6 or so weeks, but you can go to the drugstore and buy whatever spray and color you want. And you can be something else if you want to. You don't have to. But the reason I love it when people say that is that it proves to me that my brand theory does work. And there's a little bit of a backstory in how that's happened. So let's talk about it. I didn't end up with this part of my brand on purpose. It was completely by accident. So probably 5-6 years ago, I was going through what I can only best describe as kind of a midlife crisis. I was having a lot of things that felt really uncertain in my professional life and in my personal life, and I felt a little off. So one day when I was getting my hair done, I was sitting in the salon chair with this gal that has done my hair for years, and I trust her implicitly, and she goes, so what do you want to do today? Which was basically a version of what colored blonde are we going to do? Every once in a while I would surprise her though, and we go deep red, and once we actually went almost a black, a really deep burgundy. But I looked at her and I said, I think I want to take some deep blue and put it right in my bangs. And she said, seriously? And I started laughing. I said, I don't think I was serious, but now that I think about it, why not? And it was actually Halloween. And I remember sitting there thinking, well, this is kind of a strange thing. Maybe I'm just doing it because I feel out of sorts and it's Halloween and people are dressed up around me. But what the heck? I'm going to do it. And I walked out of there and I felt like $1,000,000. And it was just a little blonde in the bangs, or a little blue in the bangs. But it was like something emerged in me. And I realized as I thought about it that my whole career, I have been, working off this persona. And I got a little crazy at times. I always had really good shoes and I had, nice dresses, but, always still within kind of the boundaries of quote unquote, very professional. In fact, early in my career, the only thing you would find in my closet were black suits. Black pants, black tops, black dresses, black skirts, you name it. And I would be crazy when I would go out and actually buy a pair of red shoes. Now, you may think, well, what does this have to do with me and my profession, Michael? And what does this have to do with my development? Well, my story, though, really became an evolution for me because I wanted to make sure that the brand that I was becoming with my own company was something that truly reflected the authentic part of me. And the authentic part of me is this. There's this balance between this really professional person and this person who has a really larger-than-life personality. And this juxtaposition, it may look like from the outside, is really the balance that I love to have inside. So when I was working with the person who was developing my logo and my brand image for my company, they were asking me questions like, what do you want to be known for? What are you known for? And I really had to start asking myself those questions at a deeper level. So I said, well, here's the thing, for the last year or so, I do fun hair colors, really wacky. I, have crazy shoes. I'm larger than life, but I'm really serious about potential. I really firmly believe that I deal with serious business issues and help individuals and businesses achieve incredible potential that they don't always know that's locked in there. But I always want to do it being able to have the real me show through. And they were actually the people who came back to me and suggested shock your potential. Because I said, look, I'm also shocking. You might be shocked by my hair color. You may be shocked by my name. But I am shocking, and that's what I try and do to businesses and professionals alike, is to get them to that point where they are shocked a little bit, that they have to stop, sit back, and really reflect on what they want to achieve. So personal brand became something that I really dove into the first year of owning this company. And physically, I have a brand that you see. And oftentimes you will find that, my hair color, for instance, will reflect at least part, if not all, of my logo. And that's a very physical part of my brand that I really love. But that's not the only part of my brand. The other part of my brand is how I operate on LinkedIn, for instance, where I really worked very, very hard to create a following of people who saw me as a thought leader in leadership, sales, and customer experiences. And in that following, I was able to create my brand in a couple different ways. Another way that I create brand that's not just physical, although it's helped by the physical, is what I do in the media. So when I have media interviews and they are talking to me about really serious business issues, you might first be shocked by my hair color, but pretty soon you will forget that and listen to the message, which means that my brand is coming through. I grab your attention and I hold your attention long enough for you to actually listen to more than what I have to say. And so it really comes down to what I believe is what people say about you behind your back when you're not listening and you can't hear. And when I say that, people will listen to this and cringe. What do you mean what they're saying behind me about, behind my back about me? And it's disappointing that we have to first think that that could be a negative. And granted, it could be a negative. I'm sure I've had my fair share of people who maybe didn't say the best things about me behind my back. But I do believe that overall people have an image of me and the things that they say about me, especially work-related, that are very much in line with my brand. And I know that because I ask them, and I know that because I test this through different means. But my question to you is, what do people say about you behind your back when you're not listening? So if you don't know the answer to that, that's really where we get into the meat of this. And I have a couple of points for you. So first of all, my challenge to you is to do this. Spend some time writing down, just right now, pause this video and write down just for a few minutes what you want to be known for. Do you want to be known as dependable, trustworthy, a go-getter, someone who's accomplished? What are the words and phrases that you want people to describe you right now? So after you've started that exercise and you've written down those words, now is the time that we really have to reflect. So if I had my magic mirror here, as you know I like to use, I'd pull up my magic mirror and say, magic mirror, what do people say about me behind my back? And this requires that you actually reach out to people that you know and trust and ask them some things. Tell them that you're working on your brand and say, I'd like to know what are some of the words that you use to describe me. Now, when they're people that you know and trust, they're also probably people that you like and that like you. So here's the challenge. They're going to give you all positive things. There's nothing wrong with that. I fully believe that we can work off our strengths and be happy alone. But we still also have to know where some of the negatives are. So once you've gotten that wonderful list, then you can ask them very gently, if you had to pick one thing that you think that if I got better at, that would help me to become whatever I want to achieve. I'd have that much more opportunity, that much more potential. Now listen to the words that I use here, because you're not saying what are my weaknesses or what are the areas that I'm not good at. You're saying if you could pick one thing that if I got better at it, it would really help me to further myself. Now, people who know and care about you are going to want to share that information, and they're going to feel like that is a comfortable situation to answer that question. Now, what they're really going to tell you is where one of your faults are, but it's okay, because if you've asked it that way and you know that they really care about you, you should be willing to accept it. And what you hear there is the gap between where you want to be and where you are today. So the third element is for you to spend time reflecting on what you are going to do to bridge that gap between where you want to be and where you are today. So perhaps that's going to be building something that crosses that chasm. Sometimes it's about strengthening the things that are already really solid in you so that you make sure you never lose sight of them. And sometimes it's changing how you operate or how you present yourself to adapt your brand as needed. Regardless of whether you're developing, building, changing, or strengthening, It's about being clear about what that brand is and what you want to be known for. So yes, you may want to have some physical branding that goes along with you, but that's not as important as knowing what terms people use to describe you, whether they're in the room with you or not. So one thing that I love to share with people when I speak at conferences that they're usually shocked about is, well, they're shocked about a lot of things, but one thing that they're usually shocked about is the fact that I tell them that when I hire someone or bring them onto my team, that I have a very clear expectation in the employment agreement. And it goes something like this, where I say my philosophy is that in my social media presence, I will only deal in positives. I will not have rants, raves, complain. I will not highlight bad service, bad business practices. I will not be politically motivated in any way, shape, or form. And it's not because I don't have those situations, and it's not because I don't have political beliefs or that I don't have bad experiences that sometimes make you want to scream. But it's because part of my brand, which is really important to me, is that if I'm going to be an instigator for positive change in businesses and professionals, then I need to live a life in positivity, and I need to live that outward life in positivity. I believe also that when you have great experiences, you should shout them to the rooftops. You should make that something that you share with everyone. But when you have negative experiences, it gives you the opportunity to help coach in private. So, do something good, let's make it public. Do something not so good, let's use that as a private moment to hopefully develop. And that's my philosophy, and that's part of my brand. So when I am interviewing someone, I say, here is my brand, and I need you to agree to it. So that means that while you work for me, you will also adhere to the same social media principles as I do. And when I tell people this, it's amazing how many hands, raise. How can you do that? And aren't there any legal issues? And, what happens if they screw it up? And, are they going to sue you? Are you going to sue them? And I start to laugh and I say, I want you to think about what I told you about my brand. My brand is that I deal in positivity. Now, do I expect that everyone will comply with that 100%? I would hope they would. But I'm also realistic that they may not. But I hope that I'm making choices when I'm hiring people to find people that already have a mindset that is based and rooted in positivity. And if so, I won't have to worry about that. Now, what would I do if they broke it? Well, probably I'd have a discussion with them and say, tell me about what's going on. Would I terminate somebody over it? Possibly. Have I ever had to? No. And mostly because I think people want to have something to align to. And like I said, I'm pretty good at screening out people that really already have a positive nature at their basis. And so by doing so, I'm also very clearly stating my brand to my team that says, this is how we operate as a company. This is what you can expect from me. This is what I expect from you so that we can deliver what our customer expects. So here's your assignment. You already got it, but I want you to take some time and reflect on the answers that I first had you pause and write about. And that is, what words or phrases do you want people to use when they reference you? Review it. Take some time to think about it. Talk with someone you trust about what those words are. And make sure that you get their engagement on whether or not you're on track or off track. Use that accountability partner as somebody who's going to be your ally and making sure your brand emerges. And finally, just as I shared with you my brand statement, and actually I have a couple, but one I told you about in terms of my social media presence, but the other I told you about a little less concisely than this. My brand is that I deal in very serious business issues, but I always want you to see my authentic self. And I believe firmly that we can deal in serious business issues and still have fun along the way. What is your brand statement? Write your brand statement down. Read it, reread it, and look at it. Share it with people that you trust. And then continue to ask yourself, am I moving forward in making this my reality so that I can be very confident that what people say about me behind my back matches exactly what I plan for myself.